It's no secret that our Silicon Valley home market has traditionally been one of the hottest and one of the fastest appreciating markets in the country. And it's also a market where the supply and demand dynamics have traditionally favored sellers, simply because there's far more buyers, particularly wealthy buyers, at any given moment in time than there are homes for sale in the market. But even in our market, there are a number of ways that you can find good deals, that you can get a diamond in the rough, so to speak, that you can find a house a few percent or more below market value. And then you're walking into a house at that point with a few percent of extra equity. So for this video, we're going to talk about some things to look for in the houses themselves, things that would require very simple to slightly more complex remodels, where you can just unlock a ton of hidden value and equity in the property. So the first things that we look for are ugly houses. And specifically, we're talking about ugly houses that have good floor plans, that are in good neighborhoods and have good bones, but have a couple easy to fix issues, particularly cosmetic issues, with them that are going to keep what would otherwise be qualified buyers away. And the low hanging fruit here is paint and floors. We're talking about houses with bad paint, polarizing paint colors, wallpaper like it looks like it's straight out of the 1970s, something that is just really ugly. Well, guess what? It's not that hard to fix that stuff. It's not. We once had a house that had 5 bedrooms that we sold the house, and every single bedroom was painted a different color, and they were bright colors. We called it the Crayola house. Had we sold that house without painting it, had we sold in that condition, I genuinely believe we would have got $50,000 to $100,000 less than what the house ultimately sold for. We paid about $6,000 or $7,000. This was a very large house. It was over 2,500 square feet. For a professional to come in and paint the house a consistent, neutral color scheme. I can't remember if it was a white or if it was a light gray. And that completely transformed the house. So here we're talking about work that takes at most a week with a professional. And the money that you put in is going to be exponentially less than the equity you gain from that work. Another thing to look out for are homes. Again, homes ideally with good floor plans, good bones, good dirt, and good neighborhoods that have really bad floors. Specifically, people really don't like carpet by and large, particularly ugly, dirty, smelly, stained carpet. So I know that, and I look for those homes, because a home with ugly, dirty, smelly, stained carpet, when someone walks into it for a private showing or an open house, it's more likely, particularly if they're a first-time home buyer, that they're going to have a negative reaction to that. They're not going to want to put in an offer on those homes. So those homes get less offers than homes with beautiful, new, shiny floors. But the thing is, it's not that hard to rip out carpet out of a house. That's something that can be done in a day. And what we find oftentimes when we rip that carpet out is sometimes there's hardwood, oftentimes in good condition, underneath that carpet. But even if there's not, there's a multitude of options. On one end of the spectrum, you have your basic laminates and your LVP, which is luxury vinyl plank. On the other end of the spectrum, you have your engineered woods and your solid woods. Your solid, oftentimes 3/4 of an inch thick hardwood. Your labor costs for that are a little bit higher, whereas your luxury vinyl planks and your luxury laminates, which just click together, those are much quicker to install at lower labor. Whatever option you take on that spectrum, whether it's a simpler option or a luxury option, the value you're adding to the property, vice carpet or vice old dated floors, is considerably more than the cost both of materials and labor of making those changes. So if you're able to identify a home that the sellers just brought straight to market without making these changes beforehand, and you're willing to do them on your watch, and again, these are fixes that typically only take a week or so, you're in a better position to walk into a property with a lot of hidden equity. So now we're going to talk about a few A few fixes that you want to be on the lookout for that are a little more involved than simply replacing floors or replacing or repainting a house. So a little more work. These are things you can't typically do in a week, but they're going to, you're going to get maximum ROI from doing these things. Now, one of the things that we look for are opportunities to add a bathroom, specifically to go from a house that only has one bathroom to a house that has two bathrooms, but to do so without having to add any square footage to the house. So we're not looking at doing an addition. We're not looking at adding new foundation, adding a new subfloor, adding new roof. What we're looking to do is repurpose space that's already existing. And particularly when you go from one bathroom to two, that's when you get the most impact. So all things being equal, a house with two bathrooms is typically going to sell, particularly in the more pricey markets, for at least 6 figures more than all things being the same, that same house would sell if it only had a single bathroom. So if we're able to find a house that only has that one bathroom, but it has space in an area that makes sense to add a second bathroom that can be repurposed, that's ideal. So ideally, we're talking about homes. We've done this recently in homes that had large hallway closets, that we were able to repurpose those closets into a bathroom, or homes that, let's say, had two bathrooms or two bedrooms back to back, and very, very larger than were necessary closets in those bedrooms, where we were able to cannibalize a portion of one of the closets, perhaps a portion of one of the bedrooms or an adjoining office, and convert that to a bathroom and still have the remaining bedroom or office space be large enough that it could genuinely function as a viable bedroom, as a viable option. The cost of doing this may be anywhere from 20 to 30, maybe a little more, $1,000, depending on the finishes, how large the bathroom is. Are we just going with a basic 5x8, 5x9 bathroom, or are we going, we're fortunate enough to have a lot more space where we can do a bathroom with both a shower and a standing tub and maybe a 2-sink vanity. Obviously, the size and the finishes are going to impact the cost, how much it costs to do it. But here's the thing. If we have the space that we can utilize and convert low ROI space to very, very high ROI space, which a bathroom is, again, we already mentioned, you're talking adding $100,000+ of value here for a project that typically only takes a few weeks to actually do the construction of. Now, this is something you'd want to do with a permit, and there is some time and cost to the permitting process. But again, the value that you get in my opinion, far outweighs that time and that cost. Another thing we look for, again, another easy floor plan fix, is if we have a floor plan that just feels a little closed off, but it would be a great floor plan if it were opened up. So we did a kitchen recently. It was just this. It's 1,400 square foot house, 3 beds, 2 baths, and it felt very small because the kitchen was walled off with just this one little arched entryway too. So we knocked that out. And here's the thing, the walls that this kitchen was boxed in were not load-bearing walls. So this didn't require a full set of plans with structural plans and with the input of a structural engineer, because again, these weren't load-bearing walls. Removing the wall took a couple days, and then opening the kitchen up and adding an island took a few weeks, including new cabinets. The total cost of the project was a little over $20,000, but the value that it adds to the house, going from a very closed off house to a house that light flows through with one big great room as the living area, is exponentially more than the cost, both in money and time. So what we're getting at with this video is find homes that are in great areas, that have the amount of square footage that you're looking for, but due to either having a closed off floor plan or having less bathrooms than you want, or due to just being ugly and polarizing with some of the color and style choices, These are homes that are going to have less competition because those buyers, and there's a lot of them, who are looking for a perfect turnkey house, a house that they can walk into and live in on day one without making any changes. These are the types of buyers that either because they don't want a house with any work or because they have fear of the unknown, both the unknowns in time and cost, are going to steer clear of these homes. And these homes just don't get as many offers. And again, less offers in our market, which has a bit of an auction mentality, less offers typically equate to a lower price, oftentimes a price below market value. So use that knowledge gap that you now have of what to look for to your benefit to score a home that hopefully, if you put a little polish, a little time into it, you're going to walk into something and have a lot more equity than if you just buy a perfect turnkey home in a market with a lot of competition. Hopefully you found this useful. If you did, we'd ask you please like or subscribe, and we'll continue to crank out videos just like this and try to pass as much value as we can. Thanks so much.